This person had a goblin attached to them. I don't know how it got attached, but they're okay now due to an interesting encounter. You need to listen to the story. So listen, let me know what you think in the comments. The original creator is tagged below, but also in the comments, can you please tell me, is the goblin part of the Fae? I feel like we talked about this the other day on live and some people said yes and some people said no.
In honour of spooky season, I'm going to tell you about the time I was followed by a goblin. I always feel like a lunatic when I tell this story, and believe me, if I was hearing it for the first time, I'd be like, Jordan, you're a weirdo. It did happen. But it felt real to me, and I think it's quite funny. Now, at least I can laugh about it. But it started 3 years ago, in October, a couple of weeks before Halloween. I went on a lovely, relaxing, until this happened, all-girls spa weekend. There was 5 of us. We stayed at a spa that has a little bit of history. It's an old mill, so beautiful, big, ornate building. And fun fact, though I don't think this is relevant to it, some people think that it could be related, is that my maiden surname is a bit obscure and unusual, I guess. I've never heard of anyone other than my family having this name, and the name of the town that it was in is the same name as my maiden surname, so whatever. Maybe it's relevant, maybe it's not. We stayed at this spa and we stayed overnight, and I was having quite a bad night's sleep because the bed was quite uncomfy. I was on a sofa bed in the lounge and somebody else was with me but on a separate sofa bed. I decided to get up at about 5 a.m. and then I was just kind of like awake, just staring into the room. And about 5:30, 5:45, I thought I'm probably going to get up, get dressed and go down to see if the pool's open to use the facilities, because the point is I'm fully awake. That's what I'm trying to say. Went downstairs, spa facilities closed, everywhere's locked, can't really leave the building. I can only go back up to the room. Of course, everybody's asleep. I creep back in, I lay back down on the sofa bed and I just decide to scroll. The sun, I think, is just about to come up, so the room's quite hazy, still dark, I can see outlines. So I'm laying on the sofa, my head is popped up on the armrest, and I'm just like, as I am now, with my arm on my phone, just scrolling, doom scrolling on TikTok. I started to feel like something tickle my arm as it's up. And it happened one too many times that I thought, it's not my hair, it's not an itch, it must be a spider, it must be a bug. So be that the worst fear ever. If you ever had a spider in your hair, you know it's the worst thing ever to happen. Quickly sat up, looked back, expected to see something there. Instead, I saw behind the back of the sofa, like appearing over me or to me, I don't know, was what looked like the top of a head, like this. I couldn't see any eyes, I just saw the shape. Now, I thought, oh, is that me? Is it a reflection? Is there a mirror behind here? Is it a shadow? Just, it scared me straight away. Like I could feel like my heart going. But I was thinking all the things like it could be. It felt like I was staring at this thing for ages. It must have been moments. But I felt like I was there for a very long time staring at this thing. After a while, I was like, probably just me. But I kept my eyes fixed on it and laid back down. And as I laid back down, this thing appeared to like appear over me. So it was like this, and then it went like that. I was still like, what could this be? Like swallowing my heart, dun, 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 beating, you know? And I decided to lean closer to it. And that's when the first thing I made out was its mouth. Its mouth was like half the size of its face. And it just had awful, awful janky teeth. Skin was very pale, kind of had like a sheen to it, like a silvery grey, perhaps like white shiny colour. Didn't really make out any eyes, but like hollow black sockets, kind of, not very descriptive of that vision. It was just a space that was there. And the hair was like individual strands of black hair. It looked like Gollum. That's what this thing looked like to me. And I shouted very loudly, "What the fuck is that?" Waking up people in the apartment. So once the light was turned on and I woke everyone up, I immediately felt like an absolute weirdo because nothing was there, and I so quickly dumbed it down. Oh, I must have been having a nightmare. I'm so sorry. And it became the talk of the weekend. We had an amazing relaxing spa trip until Jordan woke up screaming at 6 a.m. waking us all up saying that she thought she saw something. You know, like laughed it off, like, yeah, I'm sorry guys, whatever. When I was with my partner, I said to him, I really thought I saw something. And he doesn't believe in anything. He could actually have a ghost walk up to him and be like, nah, that was my brain that did that. He's convinced himself that I had fallen back asleep and I'd seen something that way. But I had got up, I'd got dressed, I'd left the apartment, and then I came back up. I was awake. This happened. Although it didn't stop there, for weeks after, I thought I was being followed by something, again, that I can describe as a small goblin, like below knee height. I kept on seeing things like run past, and it doesn't matter where I was, like on a dog walk, like at home, going to work, anywhere. I'd always feel like there was something like small, like around me. At first I thought it was like cats because it was like below knee height. And then things started to like knock over and topple over, and I was losing things, and I was honestly thought I was going crazy. Like, honestly, I was like, I'm seeing things are moving, I'm losing things and disappearing, I'm going crazy. Like, honestly, experiencing anything like this, terrifying, because you're thinking, I'm doing this to myself. No, nothing. Of course a goblin isn't real. Of course it's not. Why is my brain doing this to me? That's what I felt like. And how do you tell people this? I tried to explain it to my mum, being like, I think I'm being followed by a goblin, and they just laugh it off. The second time, and the only other time I ever saw something like physical, I could make things out, was we've got quite an open garden, and it must have been about 4 weeks later, maybe 3 weeks, and I'd let my dog out for a wee before bed, and we have a peanut table at the bottom of the garden. The peanuts were being thrown at us, and I thought, and my dog was like growling and going mad, and I thought, who is there, a kid back there? And I looked in the direction, and I knew by the colour of its skin, it was that shiny grey white colour, and it looked like a really hench baby arm. It was grabbing peanuts and throwing them at us. If I was in America, I'd be like, yeah, that was a raccoon, but I live in West Yorkshire. You know, squirrels don't have arm masses like that. I knew whatever it was the same thing that I saw at the spa, and I ran inside and I took my dog inside, and I was like, no, I'm going to bed. I ain't dealing with this. There was a time when I was working and the door knocked and I went downstairs. By the time I came upstairs, everything was unplugged. Again, the part of me that was thinking, I'm doing this to myself, I was like, did I unplug it? Did I do that? Why don't I remember it? Honestly thinking like, do I have a black spot on the brain? Am I having an aneurysm? Am I doing things I don't know? And there was a time I was in the bath and I was like on my phone, and I thought I saw my dog enter the bathroom, because I just saw like this dark like figure, like, but below knee height, like come into the bathroom. And I'm talking to her, thinking it's my dog, and I look over and nothing's there. And I was like, this is awful. Whatever it was like, it wanted me to know it was there. It wasn't necessarily like harmful, but it was like naughty and mischievous. Like, imagine like a 2-year-old following you around constantly, just doing things to annoy you. It was like that. So I think it must have been around, I don't know if it was before or after Christmas, I can't remember, but we're in this old bookshop and my partner's like shopping for his stupid second-hand sci-fi books. And there's like a witch shop opposite, and I'm like, I felt like Bella from Twilight, you know, when she's like doing all the research and she's like the cold one. I felt like that in my head, thinking, do I just go in there and just say something? I didn't have to say anything. As soon as I walked in there, moments after, this woman, I don't believe even worked in there, she just said, like, approached me, and she was like, I don't mean to alarm you. She was like really nice and kind, and she actually looked like me, which was weird. She was like, you've got something called a low vibrational spiritual entity attached to you, and you need to get rid of it. You need to stop talking about it because it feeds it. You need to do a ritual. You light a white candle, can be anyone. You can buy one from here. You can go to Sainsbury's and buy a tea candle. You can use one you've already got. You light it, you tell this thing to leave. You open the window and your doors, and then you'll know when it happens. You'll feel a relief, and you don't talk about it again. I didn't do it for a couple of weeks because I felt like an absolute weirdo, but it was in the back of my head. I went home, I did this ritual, I shut my dog out, and she was right. I felt a relief. It was like my head naturally felt like lifted and like I deflated, and I didn't hear anything. I have filmed this video before last year, and in the video you can hear tapping and little scuffles about in it. I'm pleased to tell you nothing has happened since then, so I can happily talk about this situation now. But that was the time I was followed by a goblin.